Thank you, Inge. I just would like to add two things to Inge's presentation on the European Year of Citizens. The first one is that indeed we are at the beginning of the procedure to have this decision adopted, so we are now in the Commission discussing a lot within all the European Parliament committees that are dealing with this proposal. The Libe committee was mentioned, but as well the culture one, the petition one, the constitutional affairs one, and each one, the employment one, each one of them has its own ideas about how the decision should be amended, modified, etc. So the proposal as it stands can still be modified. And the second thing I would like to say is that, well, you have seen that the budget is quite low. We are certainly aware of it, and, well, it's regretful, but we have to work with what we have. So we will count on lots of bottom-up initiatives. We will count a lot on the member states at all levels, national, regional, local. We have already lots of contacts with local authorities, and we will continue to develop initiatives at that level. And we certainly count as well on your associations, on the NGOs, on the big associations, in particular the ones that have been active and have worked with us so well this year in the framework of the European Year of Volunteering. I know that you are all still willing to develop the active citizenship component. We do as well, so we will continue discussing, working together to see how we can implement that, even with a low budget, see what kind of initiative we can launch to help you as well develop and pass the message and help our citizens get involved in European policies, in building the European project. So, well, I'm sure there will be lots of questions on that issue, so we'll have possibilities to come back on that. So the floor is yours now, and I'm ready to take questions. So I see, oops, Alexandrina, yeah. It's already 4. So we start with Alexandrina. Is there a micro there?
Hello, my name is Alexandrina Naimovic and I'm from the European Civic Forum. I would like to have a reaction on the proposal to have the European Year of Citizens. And we do appreciate very much the intention to have a European Year of Citizens. We would have preferred to be a European Year of Citizenship, of active and participatory citizenship. And actually we've been calling together with the European Parliament for such a year. But for some reasons it turned out to be a European Year of Citizens. And well, we would very much like to see this European Year become more wider in the scope, and actually we think that European citizenship is more than rights or more than freedom of movement. It's rather a process. And if the European year will only address like 12 million European citizens who are very lucky to take benefit of the freedom of movement, then it will be a complete failure. And we are approaching the further European election in 2014. And if with the budget of €1 million, we want to address European citizens in the context of the crisis, and in the context of various crises, of course financial, economic, social, but also political ones, I think that we are very much, the European project itself is very much in danger. And there's a very wide civic disaffection towards the European construction and the way it is happening. And so I would very much invite us all to reflect on and to find means and to give means to this European year to really become a European year of debate and reflection, and a European year of engaging citizens in this debate and asking them what kind of Europe they want. Because European citizens do really have the feeling that Europe is building behind closed doors in a way, and without their hearing their concerns, etc. So this would be my first reflection on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Johannes Theiner, European Parents Association. Though it was my last contribution, thank you very much. You said the most important things about the year 2013, but I want to have some very general remarks that link together a little bit what the panel introduced. So I think that the concept of the European years is something that we should be very critical about. It's some approach to squeeze out of a topic whatever is possible, and the top-down approach, and that's something that you nicely focused on, is really not the benefit to make the topic develop. So we should take hold of it and not narrow to find out what fits into the topic and what doesn't fit, or to widen it so to make everything fit into the topic of the year. I think that the last 2 years have been extraordinary compared to innovation and creativity. I didn't see any efforts within the year, nor did I see anything getting further, though it is an interesting topic. I see that this year and last year the topics really developed, and I hope that we can take this kind of impact and really work on with things that are interesting to civil society associations. So this sustainable link, getting together a wide view and making out the mobilities of thoughts and the widening of concepts. Thank you very much, Louise, for bringing in the gap of the middle generation for the next year. I will come back to you with the parents. I'm probably at the edge of being an elder, but still I feel representing the middle generation as a parent, and that is really an issue. I would be very glad if we could bring into it this intergenerational thing in the middle generation. And I also want to underpin that if we want to have whatever the label of the year is, of 2013, it must be active citizens, and it must not be limited to mobility. Because what all the NGOs represented here and in other fora do is they do promote the idea of Europe very positively and bridge the gaps of national interests that are normally limiting the scope of governments to bring in positive messages. And I do think that every of your experiences, especially with this crisis label that is buttoned on every of the European communications today, there is no positive idea that promotes into the net-paying countries at least. So it is a very valuable contribution that all of our NGOs bring in. So on one hand, let's put forward this message to the European Commission that they have the best partners in us, and on the other hand, to link together in networks and to really foster this, and volunteering probably is a good vessel to put all of these activities into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody at the back up there. Yes.
Thank you. Kim Smelter from the European Network of National Civil Society Associations. I guess I'm kind of echoing a little bit what the Civic Forum was highlighting, questioning a little bit the feasibility of having this European year, which is going to try to reach citizens with such a small budget, with a 75% cut compared to the EYV 2011 budget. And yet we are trying to tell to citizens that Europe cares about citizens. So I think there needs to be a reflection about this, about what political message this particular budget is sending to citizens about their place in the European project. I also think that I agree that this should be a bottom-up year. I think it's very important for that to be a bottom-up year. But even bottom-up approaches cost something. It may maybe actually cost less than having a top-down approach, but it still costs something. And for bottom-up approaches to really work and for local initiatives to really work, that little financial push can make the difference between it happening or not. I wanted to actually kind of pose a question to the whole panel as to what they think about this particular proposal and its feasibility. And perhaps in light of the fact that this budget is going to be short, is going to be smaller, I think the reality is it will always be smaller than what EYV 2011 could benefit from. It's useful to have a reflection about what could be done to make European years more cost effective. And perhaps the panels have some ideas about how to make that more cost effective. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Pavel Trantina, and today I'm going to use my second hat, which is member of the European Economic and Social Committee. In the committee, we are just beginning with preparing our reaction to the proposal for the year 2013. And already now, I can say, and I can echo what has been said by my colleagues before. We were expecting to have the year 2013 the European Year of Active Citizenship. And we'll stay with this. We'll try to repeat it as much, as widely as possible to the European Parliament and to the Council, because we think that we need to mobilize people, especially the year before the elections to the European Parliament. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that next year it will be the launch of the European Civic or Citizenship Initiative as well. So this is something which could be taken into account during that year, because that should be widely promoted. So actually my plea to all the responsible persons for this year is to enlarge the scope back to the European Year of Active Citizenship. Thank you.
Okay. Take a last question now, and then I will ask the panel to reply, and myself as well. Where's the mic? There.
Yes, hello. I'm Italian Laurenti from the European Federation of Intercultural Learning. I excuse myself if I didn't get all the messages that the panelists gave, but it seems to me that the contribution of Mrs. Rudecka on the Polish ministry is what I was mostly expecting from this morning's session. I mean, she pointed out, for example, how little understanding there is about the concept of citizenship, how many do not understand what it means, what it is, etc. And thereby, she indicated where there could be a value in the action of volunteers to give something to the recipients. In other words, I think, if I didn't misunderstand you, that we have been talking a lot about volunteers as givers, as actors, but I wanted to hear much more where the recipients are, because the value to the recipients is the value of what we are doing. And she hinted to the fact that, for example, spreading information about the concept of European citizenships could be, obviously, a big value. And in this sense, I was expecting, perhaps wrongly, that this morning we could have indications where in the future do we see trends that would lead us to identify values for the recipients. In other words, increased needs, for example, in education, for example, in helping the migrants, for example, in broken families. I mean, year 2012 is literally less than 1 month away from us. 2013 is very close. So where are the trends taking us in terms of value to the recipients? Where are we going to be more needed than we are tomorrow in terms of actions of volunteering groups? I hope I made myself clear. Thank you.
Okay. I will give the floor to the panel, but before that I would like already to give some elements from the Commission point of view that I represent here. Well, first, I'd like to say that the Commission decision that is on the table now for the European Year of Citizens already allow an enlargement of the scope. It's indeed no longer called European Year of Active Citizenship, but the word citizenship can encompass that dimension for sure. And the third objective that was reminded already put a strong focus on debates, on participation, on the involvement of citizens in the process. So we are really keen to add that element in the decision to allow this broadening of the scope and not limit ourselves to the rights, even if we had to choose one article to base a decision on and to go through the legislative process. What I'd like also to underline is, of course, we are in contact and we are discussing with the different institutions. Well, the Economic and Social Committee will be one, the European Parliament as well, and they will set up a task force. They will allocate a budget to prepare the elections, and we will certainly try to coordinate our efforts in that regard. We are also discussing a lot with colleagues in other departments that have some additional budgets and that could, we hope, put together under the banner of the European Year of Citizens. I'm thinking about DG Employment, that is a strong campaign on youth on the move. I'm thinking about education and culture that really want to do, that can be involved as well, the Justice Department. So all those Director Generals have some budgets, and we will try to put everything together to increase the possibilities to do something that is valuable with the low budget that we have, but we'll only have a role of coordination, and we'll try to pull resources from other sources. So now I won't keep the floor, and I'd like to ask who would like to take some of the questions. Would like to start?
Well, I'll answer this last gentleman about the trends, okay? I leave the naming of 2013 to other people. It's an interesting question that you put, actually, and I'm sorry that we weren't all talking to the subject, but it was a rather difficult one, perhaps, to get all angles into. Yeah, of what are the trends? Are we able to identify trends? Read the values for participants, yeah. I mean, I had twisted that because older people, as I said in my talk, are tended to be seen as the recipients, and we want, I think, to put more emphasis perhaps on some of them being sort of givers as opposed to takers on this. What are the trends? I think one of the trends that we're encouraging at national level with the national coordinators would be to look at innovation, and innovation in terms of responding to the needs of the community. Okay, to be more proactive in hearing and seeing what's going on in our ever-changing communities, and for volunteers to respond to that. I mean, the one example I gave to you about working with migrants, I think did indicate that trend, perhaps, you know. But I think that is perhaps to look at intergenerationally, will be, again, to look at the changing needs of young people within our community, the changing needs of, say, the unemployed in our communities, which, I mean, it's a very difficult situation in many countries in Europe now, that there is now a generation in their 30s and 40s who never knew recessions, who always had full-time, you know, life as students and then full-time work, had a choice of work, and are suddenly finding themselves unemployed and without occupation, and perhaps with no tradition of volunteering. And these are some of the people that we want to engage, both as active participants, but also perhaps to be recipients in different ways. So yes, if I'm to answer your question, it will be, the trends will be to identify needs and to be much more proactive in recognising what each community requires and to adapt volunteering towards that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, on the European Year of Citizens, firstly the name. Well, the proposal with the name has been tabled, and we have it at this point, European Years of Citizens. If it can be changed, I mean, you know, in legislative procedures, you can change a lot. So in the resolution 2010, the Parliament called for European of Citizenship. If they come back to it, we can't say. But I think that it's not really the name that matters. Of course, you can really think of whether we are talking about the very notion, about the very political item, citizenship, or whether we are talking about the citizenship in action, which is embedded in people. So we are talking about citizens. So I think both alternatives are acceptable, and it's really up to people deciding at the very end what the name is, but I wouldn't really put too much emphasis on the name itself. As Sophie has said, if there was active citizenship, it would be already in a way restricting. So maybe and probably the reasoning behind proposing citizens would be just to enlarge enlarge the denotation of the term so that it can encompass more. Then, of course, we will be very happy to hear from the Economic and Social Committee. We will read it with very carefully, and we will see what reasoning behind a different name is, and we will decide accordingly. I mean, you know, we are in a legislative procedure, meaning we discuss. It's not like somebody has taken a view and that's it, and point and thank you. It's the procedure is there to exchange arguments and to come to a common position. Then, as far as the budget being low and what message it sends is concerned, well, I do not need to remind you that we are not in the most favorable economic conditions, and I really would not expect people not to understand that there are constraints we need to acknowledge, and they do have impact on the spendings we do. So probably best we can do is just to live up with the money we get and to make best out of them, because this is not really probably the time for changing that. And also in a quite paradoxical, maybe even way, you could say that even in the time of such constraints, we still do not would not dare to abandon what is founding for the very union, right? So what binds us together, we do not abandon it. Still, in times of shortages, we do not celebrate, I don't know, economic something. We celebrate citizens. So I mean, we want to promote the idea of citizenship. But that's only my risky remark. As far as the European Citizens Initiative is concerned, yes, as has been rightly said, it is being launched next year, 1st of April, and we expect a lot of civil society to table proposals for the Commission to concern whether the Union could act in a certain area or not. But the launching of the European Citizens Initiative is already, as far as the information part is concerned, covered, so to say. So there will be, the European Commission has already prepared a guide on how the initiative can be exercised. National initiatives are also there. We are discussing them in an expert committee, which has been, it's an ad hoc, just we meet as experts. And we discuss what member state will do what, so that citizens know that they have this additional democratic, because it's not really electoral, but this direct democratic right. So it would not probably be the best idea to put promoting the European Citizens Initiative under this umbrella, because it will again take out money which we need, while there's money secured for it elsewhere. As far as European elections are concerned, also the directive governing the EP elections, Directive 1993/109, foresees that member states do in depth and very extensively inform citizens about European Parliament elections, so that they can actively participate, being in another member state. So that's also covered from the information point of view. So that is why we have not probably been talking about putting this within this information campaign. And volunteers as givers. I think it's very, well, I've been asked to report on the European year itself, but I think it's a very nice coincidence. I mean, it really comes together, because European years of volunteers, those who supply, right? I mean, they enrich, they help, they work. Then we have active aging, also a bit from this side of providing to the society. And then the European Year of Citizens, which tells you how can you avoid hurdles if you want to be such an active citizen, if you want to be a volunteer in another member state. Because I could even one of my nieces some time ago said, okay, I would like to volunteer in Germany, but how do I do it? I mean, is there any medical insurance? I mean, you know, I would be scared to go there. And exactly, I would imagine that in this context, informing people about the rights they have as EU citizens, and especially the right of free movement and free residence, could encourage activities like this, because people would not get these everyday, just, you know, practical problems with how do I do my E106 form, you know. They would not get discouraged by that, because they would know that it works. I mean, they are there, they have these rights, and they would know how to execute them and whom to, what administration to, you know, to press to do it for them. So I think it cuts very nicely together. In my presentation, I haven't been very much elaborate on that because the time is scarce, and I wanted to present to you the proposal itself, and not my sociological enlightenment. But at this point, I just did. Thank you.
Clara? Yeah.
So to the question, where are the recipients? Of course, my short answer is that the recipients, of course, are there, not only because, of course, these initiatives usually have certain target groups, but also because I think the reason why I emphasized involving elderly people into volunteering as actors is that usually they are rather regarded as recipients. So perhaps there was a misunderstanding here. And also I think that in this context, and I mean in this regard, I'm grateful for this question, because it reminded me to emphasize that actually this activity, I mean involving them into volunteering as actors, is certainly a kind of an action which also targets recipients. So because it prevents them from social isolation, for example. So in this regard, of course, providers and recipients, you know, the boundaries between them are blurred. And actually, Louise just mentioned the term innovation. You know, perhaps many of you might know the Commission's new initiative about emphasizing social innovation. I think that actually, I hope at least that this social innovation, the part of the social innovation project, or it's a very wide initiative, the emphasis on social innovation could precisely to identify the needs of, in a proactive way, as you said, the needs of the recipients, and that could be these could really enhance the effectiveness of these measures. Thank you.
Thank you. Lise, and then I go back to the floor.
Just a very brief comment, because I think most of the comments were relating to the year of citizenship. But I would say that I agree very much with somebody said that we always have to be critical about the years, and we always have to look at what fits into the years. And I like to say we've done what we can so far with the Danish presidency for the year of active aging. But I would like to say it's a challenge, because we've been working within a very broad framework. The decision is a very hold-all document, which takes older people into the context of so many elements. I mean, family, handicap, youth, young people, health, and so on and so forth. So I think it's you really have to steer your way through to find a focused outcome. And then I say we try to do it. We try to focus on future visions, and we very much want to be innovative. So that's, thank you.
Thank you. I'll give the floor to Agnès first, and then to where is the microphone? Ah.
Thank you. I'm very loud. I'm Agnes Uherecki, working for AFSO. I have a very, very provocative question. I like to provoke always. About the intergenerational solidarity aspect of the year, and maybe I turn to Clara to see if there's some research or evidence about the generational rift, or, you know, I think we're facing one of the biggest generational rifts between my or the Facebook generation and the responsibility of the older generations for maybe getting us into the mess we are in. And I think if you look at the Arab Spring, and if you look at youth unemployment, if you look at the state of the world in terms of ecology and climate change, there is definitely a responsibilization of the younger generations towards the old. So I don't know if you have any kind of surveys or data about the unhappiness of young generations towards the older generations. I mean, just look at what's happening, for example, in the Eurozone. I think young people feel completely disempowered for what they had, to do with this, and now we just inherit this. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to ask you about this.
Okay. The microphone.
Hey.
Thank you. I think this is a real important issue, and we have a study in Austria, for example, but I think in this year of intergenerational solidarity, it's up to the aged persons to think about the youth, and it's very important to include the young people in this year. But as we have the chance to have an American expert here, you said something about 25 tax-paid volunteers. What is meant by that? Tax-paid volunteers or something like that. It was written in your presentation. 25,000 tax-paid volunteers. Tax-paid people, I don't know what is meant by that.
Okay, I take a last question. If not, I give. Okay.
Sorry, this woman there is in the green.
Oh yeah.
Second last row.
There.
Okay. Over there, last one, and then the floor back to the panel.
I would like to ask a question on the on the priorities of the Year of Citizens. I think this right to reside and to travel and to people get good information is very important. But I would like to also ask why this right to petition, or really the right, because I think, I mean, from my experience in the different NGOs I've been active in ATD Fourth World Poland and European Youth Forum, it seems to me that the problem is that people don't actually understand what exactly they can expect from the European Union, and what not only the European Union, but what the different institutions, how they can get help. For example, if their rights are breached, on which level they can appeal, where they can go. So this element to really make it more clear to people, if this right is breached, where can I go, or who can protect my rights, seems very important to me, and I'm wondering if it will be slightly taken into account, and also at the same time, just thank you for all the other presentations on the different aspects of volunteering. It's been very interesting.
Okay. Thank you. Clara, would you like to reply to the first question?
Okay. Well, if I take your question as kind of a very concrete manifestation of intergenerational solidarity. In our survey, in the European Quality of Life survey, as far as I know, we have some questions about so-called social capital and whether there are some transfers given between generations. But also, as far as I know, there are other surveys. For example, just now there is a survey going on, a panel survey in Ireland called TILDA about elderly people. And also this question is asked whether they give anything to the younger generation. And as far as your wider question is concerned, again, I have to refer to our survey, the European Quality of Life Survey, which is carried out now for the third time. The first one was carried out in 2003, the other one in 2007, and just now the field work is going on in 2011. And of course, we have some questions about, this is a representative sample of adult people, so above the age of 18, and there are some questions about the kind of general questions about life satisfaction and also happiness. And we can have some quite reliable data by breakdown by age, for example. So even we have now some data about already available from the 2007 survey. It is called a survey mapping tool, and you can see there the age brackets, the different age brackets, and you can see the answers to these questions. And of course, not only, there are not only questions about, general questions about life satisfaction and happiness, but also about their job, their family life, and these kind of things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Just to add to that, okay, I liked your controversial question, indeed. But at risk of sounding flippant, and I don't really intend to in any way sound flippant about this, but I, as an older person, do not want to take the blame for the mistakes of the bankers and the developers, because we too, as older people, are paying back for those sins. Now, that we didn't do anything about it, that we didn't see it, that we didn't protect your future a bit better as young people, I will hold my hands up and say mea culpa. But I mean, as older people, I think we are in this together. I think it is an intergenerational thing. I mean, I have got to the stage, as I told somebody yesterday, I can't listen to the radio anymore because I get very angry. I shout at people and say, how can you do this? You know, me talking to the radio, I'm going to get locked up. I mean, definitely, about things like that. But I don't feel, I do think we're guilty of some things when it comes to ecological things in ways that we were a little bit too casual about the good things and the good times when we have them. And I think we could have used them better as a generation for our inheritance. But I don't think, you know, it's a question of us against you and you against us. I think, you know, that we are in it together. But we need to get, that's exactly what I want to say. That's how my last sentence, you said it even better. I think we need to work at this together and to realize that we're in this together, all generations, to make the world a better place. Okay? Thank you.
Okay. This one word, because we have to close this session soon.
I really have to pick up on that. I do agree very much on what you say. Of course I do. And I also agree with what you say, because, and I felt throughout this preparation of our conference that we have a problem there, because how can we do something for both categories in the same way? So we will try to think how to enlighten, or how to highlight, I mean, the intergenerational issue. I think the young generation is at risk, and I really think we have to look at it, especially perhaps in Southern Europe. I think it's terrible. So sometimes I think it's unfair to deal with the European fact of aging. We have to do something about the young as well, but I think we should try and link it throughout the year. And I think we will try to do our best to make a start. I would like just very briefly to say we're also, during the Danish presidency, preparing a conference on youth and on youth unemployment. And we will take as the basis the Commission Youth on the Move. And we will base it on the 3 I's, which is innovation, inclusion, and improving skills. Thank you.
Thank you. James, would you like to clarify and reply to the second question?
Certainly, thank you. In the United States, we pay taxes to the federal government, and we pay income taxes to the states in which we live. And we've found over the years that the elderly in our society have a great deal of difficulty with these forms and how to complete them and earn their rights to these credits and benefits to them. So a number of years ago, we formed our tax aid program, which was meant to, we have a cadre of trained volunteers who actually assist them in preparing their tax returns. And it's kind of a joint project with the Internal Revenue Service, our tax collecting agency. They provide the software and the training. Our volunteers go and apply it. and the citizen comes in and actually sits next to him, and they do the tax return together. And I believe last year it was around $200 million that our elders actually were returned through this program.
Okay, thank you. Now, well, I don't take any more questions, and we are at the session. I will just take the third question on the European Year of Citizens. Why did we focus on the right to reside and to move freely within Europe? Well, mainly because there is a strong correlation in the minds of many citizens between this right to move freely and the benefits that the EU can bring to citizens. So we thought it was a good idea to associate this right with what the EU can bring to the citizens. So that was one of the reasons. Now I think it's time to conclude. We'll have a coffee break soon. I think we have seen today that all those 3 years were closely linked, that there is obviously a link between them all, and one of these links, as was underlined, was the great work that you do in these associations, and the fact that we want, we in the Commission, to continue working with you on those issues that are essential for many citizens, and we are well aware, as was underlined, that our best asset is the cooperation with you, and we really intend to continue working with you to make those years as successful and as efficient as possible. So, thank you.